why the head is this way, and it's 100% of people they've examined that have, the skulls are the same, whether they're born cesarean or born through the birth canal. The head is always skewed, and the mystics are saying it's because we're created as a slave species.
That's so interesting, Glenn, because I knew a chiropractor who was a Mormon, and he was always saying the most important thing is to free up all of your head movement, and that was like the biggest adjustment he would make when we used to go to him, which was years ago. But that always stuck with me, that that he was always trying to free up the movement of the head, and he goes, as long as that's moving like that, you're going to be fine. So
he only goes to the top, to the second vertebrae down, is my understanding. So it's very new for me last week. But he's allowed to go from the second one down. The very top one is where these two prongs are, and then the two holes of the skull. And when they do this technique in Switzerland, they are 100% successful in connecting the holes back onto the prong.
Interesting.
Well, what happens to these people that get reconnected? Are there any reports?
The only two women I know that have done it in Toronto here. One happens to be, like Gordon said, my twin, and we've just met about 60 days ago. So when you're ready, you do meet your twin. We're going like, what is this? We're not lovers or romantic. It's just, we don't know, no words for this. And finally just popped out of us. We're twins, and we are going at it now. We're going at it. It's the way Gordon said, toe to toe, seeing each other, and she's pushing me and I'm pushing her. And there's no animosity. There's no bad feelings, this, that, and you go so quickly. And so the second thing that Janet just said, of course, lessons know this, is that these beings can put their image into wood. And I do have this image of the woman of Fatima, which is the famous apparition in 1917 in Portugal. But that image is emblazoned, carved on the trunk of my tree here in Toronto on Easter Saturday, '97. Is 8 feet tall until December 13th of 2013. Suddenly it morphed up into, we cut some limbs off, and now it is 12 feet high, which is the height of the Anunnaki. The arms are extending up into the sky. The head is back in total victory. So those parts of the Anunnaki that are here, Ninmah is back here now.
That was the 13th of each month. The visions occurred in Fatima, the 13th of each month, and that's when this happened. Is the 13th?
The 13th is when they happened in 1917. But in 1929, the seer Lucy was asked by the woman who appeared to make a painting, and that painting, she's there with her rosary and her cowl on, her hood is on. But that hood, Gordon, is to look into an instrument with an eye with a light to see life cultures. She's looking into a microscope. So it's not Virgin Mary. It is, in fact, Ninmah, who was known in Egypt as Isis, and later came out of the River Jordan with Jesus Christos, Enki, and she appears as the Magdalene, the Great One. And she's there to marry Enki. They, of course, were forbidden to marry. She was forbidden to marry because the child she had out of wedlock with Enlil, they had Ninurta, and so always forbidden to marry. Well, Enki married her at the wedding at Cana. And that's the image that I have now. Asherah was known to Zeus at the Oracle of Zeus, and it was also known to Solomon. He brought Asherah in from Egypt.
Interesting.
And presented him as the counterpart to Enlil. She is the one, of course, who Sitchin says fashioned the first Adam. So to hear it from Janet tonight, again, and on the show, this goes on all the time. I get confirmation from a stranger that these beings can actually change the trunk of this tree. And I only have the photographs back from 1997 still, because it changed right away. And now, as I said, it's 12 feet high. But the other aspect, we're talking about selfishness and things appearing on the walls. There's a White Rose Society in Dublin, and in 2008, a tableau appeared with a poetic writing on it. And what it was saying was that these gods, Enlil and Enki and Anu, began to abuse the black arts to hold on to their power in Pisces, to hold on to the male-dominated reign, and not let us go into Aquarius, which is female goddess returning. And now Isis has released the white arts. I don't know what they are. The white arts have been released from the Lemuria and are now being reintroduced to human beings. So another gift that we have to use And I've always maintained that the female is the greatest machine in the known universe. There are things that are in her body that she experiences during heightened orgasm that will take the male anywhere in the universe.
Oh.
And that's the way we're designed.
Now, Glenn, you mentioned that you've written some books, because I'm not familiar with you, so I apologize for that. But you're a very interesting person, and you certainly have a lot of knowledge. And you say you've written some books?
I've written a 5-book series. The 5th book is not out yet because I'm just finishing the 5th book, but it's called The Books of Isis, and you can get it at Author House. And my last name is Bogue. And a great story.
I don't know you, but I've known of Sasha for years, and I call him, and I hope you'll excuse me, the greatest living expert on the Anunnaki and Planet X.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But the Ashura that I have is a key that quickly links you back through the history from Sumer to Egypt, and then these 4 gods. They went into Jerusalem for the first time, and then they left from there and went to Greece, where Enki and Ninmah presented themselves as Zeus and Athena, the woman of the tree. She's there as the woman of the tree. In the book Robert Temple's Serious Mystery has the depiction of her as the woman of the tree, the woman of the DNA. And then they go back up the River Jordan and swim up the River Jordan and appear at Cana, and that's where he married her. Solomon predicted that marriage was going to come. The royal marriage was going to come. He's going to marry the Dark One, and the Black Madonna. And so that then was buried. That was buried by the Catholic Church because Emma was so mad that he married that whore married my half brother, and so he created the Catholic Church. He convinced Constantine to make the Catholic Church and bury her forever. And their history is what the Knights Templar found in 1107 at Temple Mount.
Now, I don't know that much about the Sumerians. I mean, I read Zechariah Sitchin's books, and that was fascinating, but that was not an area of interest. But I've always been extremely interested in Jesus, and if you want an eye-opening experience, you should read Sir Lawrence Gardner's book, The Blood of the Holy Grail. And he talks about that Jesus had an obligation to marry, to being a rabbi, he had to marry and have children, and he married Mary Magdalene. And that supposed ceremony where there wasn't enough food and fish and wine, the miracle was that at an engagement party, which is what that was, that the rabbi's family do not have to feed the public, but Jesus had so many people following him around. The miracle was that, and make no mistake about it, his mother and his stepfather were the 2 of the wealthiest people in the Middle East, and so they just provided food for everyone that was there, and that was. But if you read Sir Lawrence Gardner, you see that everything about that day matched an engagement ceremony of a rabbi. So, I definitely believe that Mary Magdalene was the wife of Jesus, and she was the 13th disciple.
Well, but what I'm saying, Gordon, is that Jesus is not born there. Jesus and Enki are the same person. Jesus is
right.
Born
I understand that,
and comes here and is married here. He's not born in Jerusalem. Lawrence Gardner's background is a little disturbing at Montauk in Long Island because he was placed there by the 3 sailors who were part of the Philadelphia experiment. And the person who was running the time travel, they were pretty clear. His name is John Whistler. And he was pretty clear that Lawrence Gardner was there and ran the time travel experiments for the U.S. government.
Well, that is disturbing. I will agree with you. But still,
so
that book
is capable of giving you the truth, and then either because he doesn't know, and of course he's dead now. But I'm in touch with his best friend or good friend Edmund Marriage, and so I can pick up the remnants of his work through Edmund. That about this business about the Shining One, and Eve is talking to the Shining One, and so it's not a serpent being, it's a shining being. And Jesus did, of course, transfigure. His protons can turn into photons as you begin to go through the Stargate, and so that's what he was teaching.
Well, it sounds to me like there's sort of a wavelength where people are attracted to become historians. That you're one of those. Would you say that?
I have a master's in history. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be doing this work. Believe me.
Well, I'm not so much interested in it as a historian, but I'm just interested in putting in plain English in everyday language for to people of today what's about to happen and what they can do about it.
Well, the other thing is I met two people here in Toronto who claim to be here from the Council of 12. I don't know who the Council of 12 is. Maybe Dr. Lesson knows or Janet knows, but it's a very high council. And they are saying that they are here now to spank the Anunnaki and to correct what they had done to us.
Yeah, what happened is Ningishita, or otherwise known as Kukulkan or Quetzalcoatl, left in 311 BCE, and they show that the jaguar, which is a knight, swallows the serpent, which is Ningishita's rocket ship. And he said, I will return on December 21st, 2012, and I'll bring with me 9 other gods, and we're going to get rid of the matrix and bring you to activate the genes, which is your spiritual abilities. We know from Moses Ma's work that specifically your pineal gland does expand, and that's the thing that Gordon was talking about. That is the spiritual brain that is becoming active and larger in many of us, and is allowing us to have the empathy for everybody and everything and all consciousnesses, and to stop the one-upmanship that's been enslaving us all.
Exactly.
Well, we have about 15 minutes left, and I would like to talk about what is coming up. Unless there's something else that's burning that we need to bring to the forefront.
No, I think that's good because, this is very interesting to me. I don't know how interesting it is to other people, but it is kind of esoteric, because it's not only history, but it symbolizes things that are always going on in the background that people being so asleep as they are never, most people are a long way from realizing what you're really talking about here, I think, but I think it's very interesting and it needs to be said. So thank you guys.
Okay. I'd like to tell you something that Tim Leary told me. People were saying, there's going to be earthquakes and waves and the East Coast is going to happen and California is going to slip into the sea. But Tim told me California isn't going to slip into the sea because they planted ice plant all along the ocean.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, okay. If you don't. So I am very. If you do want to know for me to describe what's going to happen, I'm very well prepared for that. So.
All right. I guess
whatever you guys want to talk about is fine with me. And Janet and I are always available for you to have us back if you'd like. So it's up to you.
We'd love to have you back. We will have many shows with you, I'm certain, because this is such a huge topic, and what's going to happen here in Hawaii, and we don't know when. But if we're here, what's going to happen here? And we can go around the world.
Well, like I was explaining the other day, the Earth used to be a watery planet, and it was hit by a huge collision, which knocked off a lot of the water and some of the mass, and the hole is in the Pacific. And what the Earth is trying to do through all this movement of the plates, it's trying to readjust itself, rebalance itself. And so the Atlantic in this poleshift is going to widen all of a sudden. So there's going to be much more of a distance between, let's say, South America and Africa than there is now. But the Pacific is going to narrow. Now, the way the Pacific is going to narrow is like when you divide a deck of cards half in each hand and then you put them together. The Pacific is a series of plates. And believe it or not, California is going to be on one of the top card, and so is, in a separate plate, is Hawaii. So after all is said and done, they're going to be higher than they are now. But you can't forget that, first of all, there's going to be a tidal surge. Not tidal waves, but a surge where the water starts coming in, it just keeps coming in. And you saw that, and that was only 33 feet, but in Fukushima. And you don't realize as you go around the Earth, let's say you're on a boat and you're on the ocean, you're going to travel around the world, and you do, and you go everywhere, and you think, wow, all of the water is level. Isn't that great? It just seems that way. Everywhere you look, there's the water at shore, and You have no idea that because the Earth is spinning, all the water is accumulating